In that cramped room, which had become like a grave long before its time, I was not merely a witness. I was the final harbor for souls exhausted by flight and gunpowder. I held so many of them in my arms. I felt the coldness of death as it crept into their bodies, and the warmth of their final breaths as they faded against my chest. I held them with all the weakness I possessed, stroking their heads, murmuring promises I knew I would never fulfill, promising them paradise, and whispering into their ears whatever might soothe their terror. And in those moments, when the whole world was closing in, they, in their final generosity, would shower me with patience, as if they were the ones comforting me for their departure, and as if they were entrusting life to me while they were leaving it behind. I still remember that young man, his face, from which the bullets had stolen the freshness, but had not stolen the innocence. He was breathing his last in my lap. And those eyes were searching my face for a lifeline. He asked me in a stifled voice, "Will I heal, Mother?" I closed my eyes, swallowed a lump in my throat that was killing me, and stroked his hair, stained with dust and blood, and said to him with a trembling heart, "By God's will, you will heal, my son." But the truth was in the air surrounding us, in the smell of gunpowder and smoke. A little later, in a voice that could barely be heard, as if he were reading a truth I did not want to believe, he whispered to me, "I beg you, Mother, I feel like I am dying." Only half an hour. That was all the time we had left. 30 minutes of heavy anticipation until his heartbeat faded beneath my hands and his body went completely still. He passed away, leaving in my lap a void that nothing could fill and a lump in my throat that will never die. The tragedy did not end with his passing. It had only just begun. Outside our walls, the earth was exploding, and the sky was raining iron. I remained trapped in that house with his body for 3 full days. 3 days with time at a standstill, silence filling the place except for the whir of shelling, and his precious body turning into a cold memory between my hands. I could not leave. I could not honor him with a burial. I was guarding his body from the death that surrounded us on every side. And on the 4th day, when I decided that the departure must be completed with dignity, I risked my life. I dragged his body. I dug with my bare hands, my fingernails sinking into the earth, looking for a place worthy of him. I dug in a crater created by a tank shell. The earth was hard and scorched, but it was the only option. And I placed him there. I heaped the dirt over him. With the very very hands that had held him moments before. And I covered him. Leaving behind in that grave, dug in the heart of the destruction, a large part of my soul. My name is Nafa from Syria. I was 60 years old when the Syrian revolution began. I am married and have 10 children, 5 sons and 5 daughters. While army and intelligence forces surrounded us like wolves stalking their prey, demanding we leave, we chanted, "Peaceful, peaceful," believing that a word is stronger than bullets, until the first shots rang out. A scream tore through the silence of the place. Live ammunition pierced the bodies of those who, only moments before, had been smiling. In a single instant, the fog of peacefulness lifted, and we found ourselves in a new reality. A reality stained the color of blood. We possessed nothing but our voices. We could never have imagined, even in our worst nightmares, that our homes would turn into open battlegrounds. I remember those brutal raids, soldiers storming into our privacy, shattering the sanctity of our doorsteps. I saw them pouring flammable liquids over our food supplies, burning our flour, humiliating our livelihood, in a surreal scene that no mind could comprehend. Us? We who had never held a gun in our lives? We whose greatest fear was merely an interrogation cell? Found ourselves facing a monster, tearing apart our honor, burning our belongings, and uprooting us from our foundations. Our youth fled like panicked birds to the mountains, into the bellies of cold, dark caves. Those mountains were their only sanctuary. In those nights, I, and many like me, was the bridge between death and life. We carried them loaves of bread, drops of water, and bandages for bodies shredded by sniper fire. I would look at their faces, which had lost their childhood under the weight of the war. Those scenes, they never leave my memory. I remember the abandoned houses we turned into secret clinics, doctors trembling, the wounded moaning without anesthesia, and the darkness. The darkness was our only companion. I remember with painful clarity that moment when I held a small lighter, a flicker barely enough to illuminate a single inch. I would hold it up with my shaking hand to guide the doctor, so he could stitch deep wounds in the bodies of our youth. The lighter's faint glow danced on their pale faces, while the needle and thread moved through their raw flesh, in a silence broken only by muffled groans. Then it was my turn. On July 14, 2012, they shackled my hands and dragged me into the world of darkness. Heavy charges, as massive as mountain rocks, were thrown upon my back. communicating with the outside, suspicious funds, terrorism, kidnapping, accusations of treason against a revolution I lived with absolute sincerity. When the judge pronounced the death sentence, I didn't feel fear as much as I felt sorrow for a homeland that kills its own children in cold blood. I remained in those cells until January 28, 2014. When I emerged into the world again, but I was no longer the same person. I had left a piece of my soul in every corner of those days. I buried more than 20 young men with my own hands during that period. We didn't have the luxury of funerals or mass processions. We would bury them secretly, amidst the death that surrounded us on every side. Dara was completely besieged in those days. A suffocating, merciless siege. No medicine could enter. No food could reach us. Even the air became saturated with the scent of loss. I had to risk my life at every moment, sneaking through rough agricultural paths and back roads, crawling between death to bring people what little food could sustain them and what medicine could heal their wounds. The scenes were beyond human endurance. The youth's wounds would fester in the complete absence of antiseptics and medical supplies. I even saw maggots emerging from their living bodies for lack of treatment. I would stand before them, gathering the fragments of my humanity, and use salt, yes, salt, to cleanse their wounds, binding them with simple bandages, offering the few painkillers I managed to smuggle in a desperate attempt to salvage whatever I could of bodies being devoured by war. On July 5th, 2014, at 9 in the morning, I was preparing bread for the boys, that morsel which meant life itself in the heart of the siege. Suddenly, heavy shelling rained down with missiles and tank shells. A treacherous shell hit a basement where 9 children were sheltering. They were all killed in a single moment. On that ill-fated day, we lost 3 of our young men. As we tried to lay them to rest, they shelled us again, forcing us to bury 11 young men that day instead of 3. Even the graveyards, brother, even the sanctity of death was not spared from their fire. We were forced to flee and hide. We lived 10 full days underground, in total darkness, fighting hunger and searching for any way to survive, while death hunted us in every corner. Then came July 18th, 2015. The sound of rocket launchers from the direction of Israel was tearing my eardrums apart. They destroyed homes over the heads of their inhabitants. A column of tanks crawled slowly, with a terrifying coldness, as if they were in a military parade, not facing an enemy, but facing their own people. I saw my son, Abdullah. A piece of my heart. He was standing with 12 young men, trying with their bare chests to stop the iron advance. The tank targeted them directly. The sound of the explosion was the echo of my own soul being torn apart. I heard a fractured scream. Abdullah has been murdered. He was holding a bag of medicine in his hand. He was trying to save his comrades when the shell struck him. I ran toward him. I saw him drenched in his own blood. The clothes that once carried the scent of humanity were now soaked in red. I covered his chest with my shaking hands, looked into his eyes, and said with a flood of tears choked in my throat, I offer you to God, my Abdullah. I will not weep, and I will not attend your burial. I must go to reach your wounded comrades and save them. I left him alone. I left my own soul to die beside him, so that I could save others. On that same harsh day, while we were in the car, my daughter, my cousin and I, trying to secure some milk and bread, we were intercepted by a group of soldiers from the 5th Division at a checkpoint near Isra. They forced us out. The smell of alcohol reeking from their mouths like rot. Their insults slapped our faces. And their filthy gazes harassed my daughter right before my eyes. The brigade commander, a man called Muhsin, stood there, watching the scene as if it were an entertaining show. I looked at my daughter. Her body was trembling. And I whispered to her with a voice choked by a lump of grief, "Stay strong. Do not show them any weakness. Entrust your fate to God." They dragged us to Brigade 12. There, the high window did not overlook land or sky. It looked out onto graves, being dug with fingernails and flesh. 5 or 6 young men were forced to dig their own graves with shaking hands. Then I saw them with my own eyes, buried while they were still breathing, while they were still alive. 12 days was my quota of witnessing this daily, recurring scene. Seeing souls ripped from their bodies and laid under the dirt with demonic coldness. After Brigade 12, the next stop was the military security detachment in Isra, and from there to the military security branch in Daraa. There, where humanity ends and catastrophe begins. We entered basements packed with people, basements reeking of death, where blood coated the floor, making it slippery underfoot. In that moment, I was holding my daughter's hand tightly, squeezing it as if I were trying to pump life into her, whispering into her ear words that were all that remained of our dignity. Stay strong, my daughter. Do not show them weakness, for death with dignity is better for us than to have any of them touch us with harm. We stood in the corridor, shackled, blindfolded, for 48 consecutive hours of standing. Time did not pass. It tore at us. Everyone who walked by found our bodies to be a source of entertainment. Lashes, insults, verbal abuses that stripped the soul bare. The sounds were unbearable. The screams of men and women ripped through the silence of the place. Oh, Mother, I beg you. I kiss your feet. And when some would cry out, "Oh God," pleading for help, the jailer's response would shake the very faith in our chests. On God. If God existed, let him come and save you from here. I asked my daughter to nudge the blindfold from my eyes just a little. I did not know that my eyes would witness what no eye could bear. Everyone was completely naked. The blood on the floor was like a torrent. Corpses lay piled on top of one another. I did not know who among them was taking their last breath and who had already departed this world. Suddenly, my own breath stopped. I saw a young man standing facing the wall, his head bleeding profusely, his backbones exposed from the severity of the torture, his body flattened from the beatings. He was screaming in a voice that would break any heart. "Oh, Mahdi! Oh, Mahdi!" It was Muhammad, my daughter's husband.
A while later, I was taken into the interrogation room, and when they brought me out, they did not replace the blindfold. I approached him and whispered, "Mohammed, father of Mahdi, stay strong, seek strength in God." He recognized my voice, and he cried out with a burning anguish that tore at every fiber of my being.
What are you doing here? Why did you come here? No!
Oh, I wish I hadn't heard your voice. What brought you here? What are you doing here? They put me in a room, and I found my daughter there. The room was covered in urine and filth. They took her for interrogation, and after 3 hours that felt like an eternity, my daughter returned. She was weeping bitterly, screaming at me, "Oh, Mother!"
They have slaughtered father of Mahdi. At dawn, they dragged me back to the corridor. I saw a prison, a tiny room, claustrophobically narrow, where they crammed over 200 detainees, all standing. There was no room to breathe, no room to move. The investigator asked me, "Are you still determined not to confess?" Very well. The major is coming now. The major arrived. He was drunk, a criminal. They would throw us to the ground, then shower us with blows from Kalashnikov belts or electrical cables. They struck with all their might, everywhere. On our heads. They would smash the butts of their rifles against their heads. And if a young man collapsed, unconscious from the intensity of the pain, they would douse him with water and use electric shocks, not to heal him, but to bring him back to consciousness, just to taste another round of agony. In that branch, the smell was not just an odor. It was the scent of death that precedes the end. It wasn't merely the stench of decay. It was the smell of humanity itself breaking. I was there, in those dungeons that never knew the light of the sun, where a human being is crushed until they become nothing more than a number on a list of victims. I saw a girl. No, she was just a human skeleton,
gasping for the remains of a soul. She lay in a filthy corner, sharing her cell with rats that gnawed at her limbs. Scabies had ravaged her skin until it tore, and she began to reek with a smell no human could endure. The smell of a soul departing from a still living body. And what was her crime? What sin led her to this fate? She had cooked lunch. She had delivered a warm meal to her brothers and cousins who were among the protesters. That was her crime. That was her grand accusation. That she had fed someone who was hungry. Throughout my time in the military security branch in Dara, torture was the only law. There, all boundaries vanish. A woman is tortured just as a man is. We were 70 women in one room. 70 trapped souls. Sharing the fear.
My ears still tremble whenever I remember that married woman they dragged from among us. They took her to the next room. And 4 of those who call themselves human went in with her. She was dragged away, our eyes following her with an unforgivable helplessness. From behind that door began the most brutal show. Her screams were muffled, their filthy hands covering her mouth. They took turns on her, 4 men tearing at her purity, ripping her soul and body apart. We heard every sound, every gasp, every breaking point. It was not a passing incident. No, it was a daily ritual, occurring around the clock, night and day without pause, without a single shred of mercy. They did things that exceed the mind's capacity to conceive. Things words dare not describe, and tongues cannot utter. Most of the girls were brutally raped. A brutality that can only be described as an attempt to kill the soul before the body. Our only sin, the sin we can never forgive ourselves for, is that we were from Tara. Is
as if our fated destiny, we, the children of this land, is to be crushed, to be humiliated, and to taste death 1,000 times before we finally depart.
I have seen what no eye should ever witness, and heard what no ear could ever bear. And what I have mentioned is but a drop in the ocean of that daily hell. A hell I lived with every fiber of my being. A hell whose memory still burns me. Every single night I try to sleep. I ask myself every night when darkness falls and my eyes refuse to close, are those girls dead? Or are they still suspended in that place, waiting for a rescue that never came? Their images are not just memories. They are a bloody, cinematic wheel playing before my eyes day and night, never stopping, never resting, never merciful. I swear to you, I swear by every trapped tear, that these scenes breathe with me, moving in every corner of my room. It is the curse of the truth that will not leave me be. It is impossible to forget, and impossible to remain silent. For how can a tongue that has seen what I have seen ever know the path to silence? It is impossible for me to find rest, or to taste the flavor of peace. Peace that has become for me a distant lie I will only grasp when God reclaims his trust and takes my soul from this world that has betrayed my daughters.
End of part 1. See you in part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.